Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday. I can see we've got people coming online already. So good morning, everyone. Good morning. I've got Joe and hang on, they're whizzing past. So we've got Joe and morning Lucy and Amelia and Ruth. Hello, hello, hello. I hope you're all doing okay. We've got a smattering of snow here in Peterborough, but it's not too bad. It's not sort of big enough, deep enough to really cause us any problems once I get out of my drive. But Carol says it's a very cold, windy South Devon today. So it's not too bad outside. It's just, as I said, a smattering of snow overnight. But we do tend to get, Peterborough can be a bit of a kind of microclimate. Generally, even though we've had a lot of rain, really bad weather kind of scoots around us. It doesn't seem to know we exist. But we did go for a walk at the weekend, but kept having to turn back because everywhere was flooded. We walked for 10 minutes around Ferry Meadows and we'd reach a bit we couldn't pass. But that's the joy of living in England, isn't it? British weather. So anyway, Sarah says hello, and Francis and Debbie and Charlotte and Alicia just saying sneaky hello from work. Have to go. Hope you all have a fabulous beading morning. Well, Alicia, I'm sure nobody will mind. What's work for? It's only so you can buy more beads. Anyway, morning Sue and Anne and Pamela. And Jan is in a cold but sunny Weston-super-Mare. I used to go to Weston-super-Mare as a kid on holiday. And Cindy is in Minnesota and it's 4 a.m. Now that's dedication, Cindy. That is dedication to be up at 4 a.m. Are you up specially for us? Or did you just happen to be up and sort of scanning? Inquiring minds want to know. So anyway, good morning, Cindy. Definitely morning for you. And Jitty and Gwen and Carol says, I love Ferry Meadows. Camille and Anne and Debbie and Margaret. And Charlotte is, I'm guessing you are in Hawaii because she says it's raining in Hawaii this evening. So I'm guessing you are in Hawaii and not just giving us a weather forecast for somewhere you're not at. In which case, welcome. Well, I'd love to go to Hawaii. Oh, beautiful. And Joe and Mina. So I thought we would crack on. And Sheila says they've got 2 inches of snow in Washington, but she says T and W, so I think she means Tyne and Weir rather than the US Washington. So and Angela says they've got some snow at last, and Charlotte says yes. So you're not just giving us. It's nice to have you anyway. And Teresa's from Georgia. So we've got an international sort of smattering of people today. So thank you very much for joining me. And what we're going to be having a look at today is bringing you something a little bit different, because obviously I am predominantly a sewer. So any opportunity to bring some sewing in had to be done. So today and tomorrow, this is going to be a 2-parter. Okay, so we're going to do this over 2 demonstrations. I'll be back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. to show you the next step. But what we're actually going to be making is this little lovely. So we're going to be making a beaded applique needle case. Because, you know, you've got all your beading needles, you need somewhere glamorous to keep them. I'm actually going to move the mat out of the way because the mat is also blue and it sort of makes everything kind of disappear. But this is the project we're going to do. Lucy says your necklace is lovely, so thank you very much. That's one of the bead wrapping ones I did when I was practicing for the dragon eye. Thank you very much for noticing. So Smoffy says it's blue skies in wools but white ground, very pretty. So yeah, even now it's sort of with the green mat behind it, but this is the project that we're going to be working on, and it is a super simple applique project that looks much more complicated than it is. But it's really good fun. Now, we have bundles for you to grab hold of for this. And the bundles, I'm going to show you the colours, and then I'm going to show you the link where you can get them. But we're going to do more than one project from this bundle, okay? Because, you know, this is just one of the things that we can do from this bundle. So over the coming months, I'm going to be well, picking your brains actually, because to see what you want to make next with the bundle. So let me show you the bundle and what's in them. So I had the aqua bundle, which you can see there's still quite a lot left in here, but I'll show you a full bundle because we've got it in 3 different colors. We've got purple, we've got tan, though I'm thinking of this more as bronze. No, Carol, you won't be rubbish at sewing. You really won't. I'm going to go through this because obviously it's reflecting quite badly at the moment, but you've also got the blue. So let's take you to the website so that you can see in a little bit more detail what we're actually looking at. So here we go. Here is the Totallybeads website. And if you've not been here before, it's totallybeads.co.uk at the top there. And you'll see all of the all of the tutorials over here. Okay. So Joe says, me too, pass my sewing to my mum. Now, the thing is, it's not traditionally sewing. Okay. It's bead embroidery. So don't worry too much. Anne says it's going to be tough here this morning because there's very loud roadworks going on outside, but I'll try hard to concentrate. Oh, bless you. But at least you can come back and watch this later. So when they've gone away. So if you click where they put that logo about Facebook, here's part 1, and these are our kits. All right, so there's 4 here, as I said. There's aqua, which is the one I've beaded with, so we've put a picture of the aqua project in front of it. We've got blue, we've got purple, and we've got tan. So, and Lucy said, oops, purple just fell into my basket. Well, I think so. Sorry to hear that, Mina. Catch up with you later. So let's go and have a look at the purple one, because I think this is the one. Well, we're going to vote in a minute, or we're going to have a little thing about which color I use next to work on, because I've done aqua, but do I do purple, do I do blue, or do I do the tan? But in each bundle you get a lot of stuff, so you're going to get 3 pieces of felt. Okay, A4 pieces of felt. You're going to get 1 set of size 8 Toho beads and 1 set of the hexagons, a pack of 3mm bugle beads, a pack of glass round pearls, and a string of 2x3 crystal rondelles. And you're going to get a needle, and you're going to get thread. Now you're going to get actually 2 different threads. If I just choose that second picture, so you get 2 different threads. One's a beading thread and the other one is a stranded cotton. Okay, and you're going to get 2 needles as well. You're going to get a beading needle, you're going to get a big eye beading needle, and you're also going to get a size 10 needle as well. So you get all of the stuff that you need in here for a smashing price. Thank you very much, Simon. We like a discount. But you've got that reduced price there as well. But as I said, this is going to be for more than one project. All right, and you have the 3 different colorways here. You've got the tan. So this one, I think, you know, you could describe, I'd probably call that bronze, to be honest, because those colors are beautiful. So that's I think that'll make quite an understated project, whereas the turquoise is kind of slap you in the face, and the purple is somewhere in between, but slap you in the face in a good way. I mean, just go, look at me, I'm colored, aren't I fabulous? So those are the bundles that we've got. And I think looking at the comments, it's probably purple that we're going to go for. So those are the bundles you can grab hold of. Lucy says, I like the tan as well. Yes, it is rather fabulous, isn't it? So we've got these bundles, and so Lucy says the tan, purple. What other color requests have we got there? Good morning. Oh, Sue says it's a lovely sunny day in North Devon. Joe says need the blue. Oh, it's kind of, I think I'm gonna go, oh, you see, it's decisions. I'm gonna go with the purple. Yes. So Ruth has said in capital letters, purple. Joe said, oh, Joe said tan, and Amelia said purple. We've got tan, purple. I think I'm going to do the purple because I've still got these, and when we do the next project, I'll make them in one of the other colours. So now we've got tan, blue, purple. I think we're gonna go purple. So let's open up the purple bundle. So this is what you're getting in your bundles. So first of all, you get 3 pieces of felt. So that looks a lot pinker on my screen. So Lucy says good choice. Yes, Lucy's just bought this one. So this one is more of a wine, I would say. It looks quite pink there, but it's a deeper, I think that's just my camera. And then we've got a purple, and then we've got a lilac. So you've got those 3 colours in there. Then we have our size 8 beads, which are lovely Toho beads. Then we've got the Toho hexagon beads. Now you don't have to use all of these in one project, because as I said, we are going to be making as the hexagon ones. Oh, I see those lovely Toho hexagon shaped beads. You can vary it as much or as little as you like, because as I said, we are going to do a couple of projects. And Lucy says this is awesome. It's something different to what we normally do. Yes, I know. And you know, you've got me, and you've got Sarah M, and you've got Kitty, and we're going to be doing different things. We're going to bring you a nice selection of different styles and types of project, because we have our own loves and our own interests, and it's brilliant to be able to share sort of lots of different things. And Robin says morning from a frosty snowy New Jersey. Glad purple is on the menu. And then we've got some 3mm. Oh, 3mm. Now, again, they look a bit blue, but they are purple. Go and look at the website for a better colour match. I think it's just because of my particular set of lights here. And then we have the stranded cotton. And then we have our beading thread. And then we have a string of glass pearls. And then we have a set of rondelles. And then we get 2 needles. So you can see in there's a size 10 needle. And we've got a big eye needle as well. So you've got the choices there. Now, when it comes to what I've done so far, okay, the way I put this together is I have used the bugle beads in the center. I've outlined my shape with the size 8s. I have covered my binding, because think of it as a book, so that's almost the binding, with the crystals. And then I have put the pearls around the outside. Now, I didn't do the inside and the outside because I wanted to save enough pearls. I think there's just enough pearls to do all the way around, but I think it kind of, you don't need it because it's the front that you're going to look at. Now, this one, I've just cut it square. I've also done, and this will be covering tomorrow as well, putting inside sheet in, holding that in place with a little bit of chain stitch or a running stitch. And then that's what's on, these are on the outside for, they're to hide any stitches underneath. And also I've done it two layers so that you don't see the applique stitches, so you can be as messy as you like on the front. Now, what I did with this one is, as I said, I've done like a blanket stitch around the center. This kit comes with the light color, so you can't really see that. And I have then put the bugle beads in the middle, and then I've stitched these around, and then put these around the outside. These are couched and these are stitched in. So I'm going to show you a lot of different ways of doing things. And if you're not keen on your sewing, it doesn't matter, because this, when I do it on the next sample, I'm not actually going to sew this down. I'm going to hold it in place with the beads. So, you know, you can really mix it up, and every single one will be different. But I'm going to show you these various sets. So this is the turquoise, which comes with this light turquoise, the darker turquoise, and the cream. I use the light for the outside. I used the darker turquoise for the inside, and then I've used the cream as the pages. Now I've only put in one set of pages, but you could put in more. So if you have, oh, Anne says it's fun wondering what you might do next. It's fun for me too. I mean, I spent the whole weekend playing because I've got ideas of what's come in the next month or two. So it was great fun. But you could actually have more than one page of this. If you are a beader and a sewer, you could have one page for your sewing needles, another page for your beading needles, another page for your pins, and you could actually stitch the sizes across the top if you want to, so you can be super uber organized. Or you could use a pen, a fabric pen, to actually write on there, or it can be quite tricky to write directly onto felt. So what you could do is write it onto a piece of cotton and then just stitch the cotton on there. That would be quite nice as well. So you've got a little cotton label, because cotton is smoother, so it'll be easier to work with. So, right, we've got purple. The first thing we need to do is I'm going to decide which colours I'm going to do. So I think I'm going to have my flower petals in this one, in the wine. And I'm going to have the outside cover in this one, which is, this one's called purple, this one's called lavender, and that one, oh, that one is called wine. I was right. So it is a wine colour. So I'm going to have this for the outside. I don't need to worry about the inside and the pages yet, because they'll all be added later after we've finished our stitching. The next thing I did was I folded it in half, like that. And then I actually cut mine square, all right, because I made a square one. People are talking about degrees Fahrenheit and Celsius. Yes, it does get confusing. So this one I did square. All right, so I just cut it square. And you may need to trim it down, so don't be too precious. But this one, I thought it would be fun to do it more as a book. So I'm going to do it sort of longer. So I've got my rotary cutter here and my ruler, just because that's what I use. But with the other project, I used scissors because I was at home and I didn't have my rotary cutter. So sorry about this light reflecting me, but I'm only using it for a second. So mine, I'm actually cutting at 6.5 inches. There we go. That's out the way now. Right. So I'm just going to take this label off. So this is our project. I'm going to fold it in half. And that's our page. This is where we're actually going to be working. All right. So now we're going to create our templates, and we're going to cut out our flowers and put them in place and start beading. Now, a great way to make a template for a flower is to make a little paper template so they're all the same. And then I use a 10p piece, or if you want to make them smaller, a 1p piece. I used £1 for that one, but I've just checked in my purse and I haven't got £1. So a 10p piece will have to suffice. And I've got a piece of paper and a pen. You see, we're really low tech with these projects. So I'm going to make my petal shapes. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw around. Obviously, you can draw your own petal shapes, and you can have them sort of, let's do two actually. I'll show you the sort of different petal shapes you can create with your £1 coin or your 10p piece. All right, so the one that I'm using, actually I should give myself more space, it makes it a lot easier. The joy of making a template is all of your pieces will end up sort of the same size and shape. Morning, Kitty, I hope you're well. So for this particular one, I've drawn around my 10p piece, and then I'm going to give myself a little line. I'll do it over here with this one. So I put a dot in the middle just to give me a nice line. So there we go, I've got a line. And then we go up as far as I want to, and then we match up at the sides. And that is a flower template, a petal template. Kitty says, I'm so excited about this one. I need to make one. Just another 10 hours in the day. Oh, tell me about it, Kitty. I feel your pain. But we all need somewhere to keep our lovely, our needle save. And in fact, I have used this so much in the last couple of days, you wouldn't believe it. So that is one kind of petal that we can use, and that's the one that I used on here. Now we're probably going to make that a little bit shorter. I'm going to do another one because of the size. I want it to fit on here widthwise, so I'm going to make it more stumpy. So this one is going to be more of a stumpy flower petal. All right, so I'm just drawing my line there, but as I said, you could make it sort of pointy at both ends by we take our line through here and match up, and we've got a different kind of petal shape. So each time, just using that pound coin, you can play around with it, and the joy of doing this is that you can place it. So we take our petal. I'm just going to cut this one out roughly. These are my paper cutting scissors, obviously, not my fabric dressmaking scissors. Now, in nature, not all petals are the same. So, you know, we don't have to. Joe says stumpy like me. Bless you. You don't have to make them all precisely equal, but I think it helps with our design. I'm also using the same coin to make the center of my flower. So let's go around. There we go. So there's the center, and we can have a little play now with our piece of felt that we cut, which is, that's the wrong one. Thinking of getting this and making a bird instead of a flower. Oh, Angela, that would be lovely. Yes. The thing is, this is just an idea of what you can do. So you can do so much. Kitty said, yes, you could. Could you do a pocket at the back for scissors? Indeed, you could. You'd sew all the elements together into your pouch. You could have it on the back here so that you could slot those in like that, or you could put it on the inside like this. So we're going to do all of the sewing before we construct this. Okay, so if you are going to sew something on the inside, Anne says, who would have thought I'd be learning how to make I've been learning how to make perfect petal shapes this morning. Indeed, Anne. And Joe says, I might cheat and cut out flowers with my Big Shot. Hasn't been used for ages. Yeah, and this, you can do this with so many designs. I mean, applique is brilliant. You could go to a colouring book and use designs from there, you know, use those as a basis, because what you want for applique is you want big sections of a single shape, but they want to be simple because we're adding detail with the beading. So let's take our piece. All right, and I'm going to place my center and then have a play with my petals. You could lay out more petals, you could lay out less. You could say, well, this is going to fit, that's going to fit okay. If it was one of the other petals, it might not fit. We could also add a couple of leaves down here, probably at the bottom. Lucy says, I have a Big Shot that I bought and stuck in a cupboard, never to be seen again. Does it cut fabric too? Yes, I believe they do cut fabric, your Big Shot. So, right, let's cut some. I'm happy that they fit in. I'm going to cut I think I'll do the center with the lilac. All right, so if you draw on your felt, all right, I'm drawing with a biro so that you can see it, but bear in mind that this might show, but you're also going to be doing it on the back. All right, so if you're doing text of any sort, you do want to do it backwards. All right, so I'm cutting kind of on the line and over it a little bit, because if you work with biro and you cut slightly outside it, that can still show from the other side. All right. So Ruth says, I found an awesome photo of Minnehaha Falls frozen. Looks like a place I want to go. I want to hear in Yorkshire, all the water frozen in place. Lovely. So let's cut this out. Obviously, if you're just using something lighter, then you don't need to worry too much. All right, so I'm just cutting this. Right, so that's going to be my flower center, and I'm going to pop that there for now. That'll do. Actually, that's a little bit rough and ready. My two faves, it says, Teresa, beading and sewing. Well, the thing is, if you've got the skills, so if you've got beading skills, why not make yourself some lovely tools to use with your beading? So, you know, pin cushions, or not necessarily pin cushions, but needle holders. Right, so I popped a pin in there. Then I'm going to go with the wine. And I'm just going to do a little bit of this today because you don't need to see me do the whole thing. And as I couldn't really prep it because I hadn't decided which one I was going to do. I was going to ask you, and you chose purple. But as it turns out, that was probably the one that I would have chosen as well. All right, so here is my template. You can, of course, pin to cut, but we're not going for absolute precision. Charlotte says, I love this idea and so many add-ons you can do. Oh yes, oh yes. And I will be asking you what else you would like to see me make from the bundle, because obviously, as I said, you've got quite a bit in there. And we're going to do a couple more projects, so put your thinking caps on and then I'll ask you a little bit later. But don't comment yet because I want to be able to watch what the comments are when they come in. So have a think. Carol, no, the kit makes, you've got actually 3. She says, does the kit only make 1? You've actually got 3 sheets in here, and we're using half a sheet for this, and then we're using a tiny little bit of the others. In fact, if I just show you what's left from my previous, the sample I've already made. Oh, obviously I've got this much felt left, and I've got this many beads left. So we will actually, and quite a lot of the 2 different threads left. So I don't know what Ruth is. You could get a pen that fades to draw on fabric. That's what she's talking about. She said it might not show up on a dark colour. Wasn't quite sure what you were talking about there, Ruth, because I missed it. But here we go. So you can see there's quite a lot left, and we will be doing other projects from the bundles. So because it does go quite a long way. In fact, we're only using little scraps of this one until we do the lining. So think of the inside of the book as we're going to have a lining in there, and then we're going to have a set of pages. So I'm going to I'm just going to put on 2 of these petals for now. So I've got 2 in place. So you can put as many petals on as you want, but I want to show you, I want to get stitching. So let me just pop a pin in there. You could tack these in place, which is what I'm going to do in a second, just to hold them so that I don't keep all these pins poking into me. So in our kit, let me move my template out of the way because I need to use that a little bit later. Here we go. Here's the contents of our kit. And in the kit, I've got a beading needle, and somewhere I've got a size 10. I had it a minute ago. There we go. I've got a size 10 needle. Okay, now this is ideal for the embroidery bit. Lucy says, I like your pins. Yes, themed pins. And Joe said, when I saw this on the website, I wasn't interested, but now I'm excited. Well, there's no better advert than that, is there? So I've got my bit of thread. Doesn't need to be too long because we're just using this to hold these pieces in place, because I'm actually going to cover them. Now, this is the first test for my new glasses. There we go. Yay! Because normally when I thread my needle, I have to do that thing, you know, where you go like that, and then but the new varifocals, they're working a treat. Cindy's going out today for the first shot of the vaccine. Congratulations. Congratulations. So I'm just doing a knot in the end of this, because remember, the inside of this is going to be covered. We're going to do a lining for it, which we'll put in place tomorrow. So I'm just going to do some, actually I'll start over here. Now, a basting stitch is basically just a big stitch that holds everything in place. So Shafika said, good morning all, this is new to me, like trying a different craft since I have all the materials. Thank you. Yes, why not? Why not? But we're actually making something that relates. We're using the beads. We're going to be holding everything down with the beads. So the sewing is as little or as much as you like. So the basting stitches, we keep them big because it will help us when we come to remove them. Yeah, there we go. So what I also do is I will sew everything in the order that I basted it. So I'll sew this one first, because then I can take out those basting stitches and still leave these other bits in place. But you see, with this, you can do as much or as little. So Jean, yes, I'm going to do, as I said, we're going to come back and revisit this bundle with some other bits and pieces, with some other projects very like this. So when you get your bundle, you will be able to make more than one of these. So I've just basted that lot there, all right, which means I can take my pins out so I don't get stabby. All right. You're very welcome. Kitty says, I do warn people. Hang on, I missed that. I do warn people, beading is more addictive than any drugs. Yep, drugs and sugar. And Kitty says, yes, there is more. You can make more than one out of this kit. So now we have to decide what we're going to start with. Now, I think what I want to do is I'm actually going to start with the seed beads, and I'm going to couch around this. Now with this one, I stitched it down with the white stitching, and then the couching actually goes around the outside of the shape. All right, so that is one thing you can do. You can just do a running stitch to hold down your flower, and then you can couch around the outside. So that's one thing you can do. I'm going to show you, we're going to couch on top of the beads. All right, so I'm just going to get my beading needle. Good job I've got a needle case, isn't it? I can put my needle in there. So I've got my big eye needle here. Right, so I'm going to grab myself some of this thread. You get stranded cotton as well, which actually we use as more of a feature. I just dropped my spool on the floor, but never mind. I got the thread off it before I dropped it. So, big eye needle. Actually, I do need to bring this one closer to my face. I always have fun with these big eye needles. I haven't quite got the knack. It's like when you're trying to open a plastic bag. You could make a bracelet holder if you made it long. Oh yeah, you could put little things in it for hanging your jewellery on. This just isn't opening up. Why are you not opening up? Okay. I don't know why it's not opening up. I'm going to go back to the size 10 just because it's not playing with me right now. Actually, I've got another beading needle here. We'll do this one instead. Always stress, I think, when you're filming it. So, Jackie, I was saying that the new glasses are pretty cool, but I was just struggling there. I've just gone back to a traditional needle. That's fine. Just having fun opening that one up. Right, so I've put my beading needle on here, and we're going to start. I'm going to come up part way round, but I want to be stitching a little bit inside my shape. All right. It will be easier. It will make a bit more sense when I didn't do a big enough knot. It will make a bit more sense once we've gone all the way around the petal. But this is a great way of stitching beads down when you want to do a long strand of beads. There we go. So come up. So I want the beads to sit on the edge of my petal shape. All right, so I'm going to use my seed beads. Here we go. I could use the hex beads. They would be quite good here. Diane says a press stud to open the piece that goes through the bracelet. Oh, that's a nice idea. I have just bought myself some little press studs. All right, let's open up the seed beads. Right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put four beads on my needle. Okay, this is nice because it also happens quite quickly because we're doing 4 at a time. So I've got 4 on my needle like that, and I'm going to bring it up. Actually, I'm a little, looking at that, I am a little far away from the edge, so I'm just going to take these off. I'll move a little bit closer, go back down, move a little bit closer to the original edge. Okay. So I don't really want to see any of the outside. So you can see there, I am quite close. It's quite hard to see with this purple one because the colours are quite strong. But there we go. All right, so I'm just going to pick up my last 4. Cindy says, I love your scissors. Yes, they are pretty cool, aren't they? They feature a lot in my work. So let's bring in the 4 beads. And I'm laying them around the edge. Yes, that's better. That's better. That's closer to the edge. So I'm going to lay them down, and I want to go back in. Actually, I'm going to come this way just because it's easier for me to see and for you to see. So I want them to lie down like that, and I'm going to go back in. So where they're lying flat. All right. And then I'm going to knit back in the gap between those last 2. So just in between. And then I'm going to travel back through those last 2 like that. And when we pull that flat, it's going to give us a bit of a line. Okay, so now I'm going to add. Carol says my picture frozen. Anyone else? Lucy says it's fine here. Try popping out and back again. So I think, yeah, I think Carol, you might have frozen. Hopefully it's not me. So I'm going to pop another 4 on now. Lay them down flat and hold it with my thumb. Just so that I can gauge where they want it, where my needle wants to go back down. It wants to go back down about there. And then come back. Now, for your traditional couching, you'd actually bring your thread over the top like that and go back down. But I find that they lie better if you travel through those last two. And they're a little bit higgledy-piggledy at the moment, but this will sort itself out in a little while. Now, because I've got a point of my petal just there, I'm going to go straight into the bottom. And then I'm going to come up this side here. So I'm not going through that last bead, but I want to come up quite close to it. That's not close enough. There we go. All right. So pick up another 4. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to get my hands so that you can see what I'm doing. There we go. So we push those down and then go in like that. Come back out through those last 2. And actually, if you're doing a long straight bit, I kind of cheat at this point and do 6 and come back through the 3rd one. But I've got a curve here, so I want to keep it quite. So you can see we've got a bit of a lumpy bit there. That's fine. And you'll see how that actually neatens up. So here's 4 more. I'm only going to do the 1 petal. So there we go. This means, because if you do individual beads, it's very hard to keep them in a straight line like this. But if you put them onto a cord or onto your thread and couch them down, because the center one we will be couching, sorry, we will be doing basically, we call it a seed stitch in sewing, but this we want a nice line. Right, 1 2 3 4. All right, so now I'm coming up to the curve. I've got to bear that in mind a little bit and curve them around. Okay, so we've started to get a curve just there. I know I'm moving my hands around quite a bit and the camera's taking a moment to catch up, so I do apologise. But if I stop moving, it will focus, she says. Come on. It doesn't want to play today, does it? I'm probably working it too hard. Anyway, right, 1 2 3 4. We're nearly round. So you see, I'm making sure that I curve it so that we go around the outside. So far we've not actually needed to do any embroidery. So when people say I can't sew, I think they've got a different opinion of, there's lots of different types of sewing. Right, so this now, when I put my needle in there, I've come right onto the edge, just there, so that when I pull my thread, it pulls it into that curve, like that. All right, so you've not frozen there, that's just me holding it still so the camera has a chance to catch up. A couple more sets of 4. I need some more seed beads. 1 2 3 4. hold that. You might find it easier to hold the beads just like I did just then on a flat surface, rather than trying to do it at an angle like I am. Right, so back through the next 2. So each time I'm putting 4 on, and you see we've got a little bit of a there. We're not worrying about that right now. 2, 3, 4. So it's just, it's Lucy says, is everyone like me and wants to make everything the 2 Sarahs and Kitty do? Well, you'd have to keep busy if you're going to make everything with 1 go live a day. Could you use a hoop? Yes, you could use a hoop. Charlotte said you can indeed. Now, what you could do as well is, if you wanted to, you know, I'm doing this on the whole front, but if you're a paper crafter, you may have heard of mat and layering, which is when you have a piece and then you lay another piece on top and another piece on top of that. You could actually do that with your felt as well. So you could work on a smaller piece and then sew that to the outside of your project. Right, so we're coming up to the side. So you've almost got a frame. So if you're finding a bigger piece like this a little bit of a challenge, work on a smaller piece, and then once you've stitched it, then you can add it to the outside. Right, so looking at that, that's probably going to be 3 beads to finish. Let's have a look in that gap. Yes, so you see, there we go, 3 beads finishes that nicely. So what I'm going to do is go into the end there. I'm going to come back and go through the last one again. The reason we don't just do 4 beads is it doesn't sit very well if it's unsupported. All right, so now just neaten all of these off. We're going to go round it once more. All right, so I'm going to go down to the point, and you see where that's all sort of a little bit ugly. If I pull that, you see how that smooths it out. I'm going to go to the end and pull that tight. And then I'm going to go back down in at the point at the end and pull that. So I'm going to do just a little stitch on the back because I want that to keep that tension. So I'm putting my needle through, wrapping my thread around it, and that actually makes a knot. Right, so there we go, that's one side, and then I'm going to come up the other side, and then we're going to go all the way through. We're not couching now, we're just looping. All the way through all of those. And back down to that point again. And, you know, if it does come out a little wobbly, but you see that's neatened that up quite a lot straight away. Oh, I come out that end again. Now, what that last bead is trying to do there, which is slightly annoying, is because the thread goes back into the bottom there, is pulling the needle, pulling the bead sort of so that the end shows, you know, rather than the side profile. So what we can do is go back into this one and then give that a pull, and everything should neaten itself out a little bit. And now we go back down here. Now you can go back. I mean, here I'm looking at that thinking we might benefit from an extra couch stitch just to hold that one over there, but it does smooth it out quite considerably when we go over again. All right, so now I'm going to take this stitch onto the back, go through a couple of times because this is going to be hidden as well by our lining. So I'm just this is a stop stitch. It's quite a useful one to note. You pull your needle through like this, wrap your thread around it twice, and then pull, and that actually creates a knot, and it's quite flat. Right, so that's our couched petal. So I'm also going to show you how we do this center as well. So if I bring that in, you can see there's the couching around the outside. It is slightly easier to do it this way than the way that I've done it on here, because this has got an edge to butt up against, whereas this I'm going on top, so you can see a little bit of the outside just along there, which will annoy me. So I may go and undo that because that's going to slightly bug me, or put a couple more threads in, but it's up to you about how much sewing you want to do. Okay, so this one here, as I said, I just did a running stitch to hold it, and then I've done the same couching around the outside, but because I've had the edge of the felt to butt up against, it's made it easier to couch around and keep it straight or curved. Right, so the center one now, let me just put my beads away. I'm going to do a seed stitch, which is basically just random stitches. So what should we do it with? I did it with this one, with those bugle beads. There you go. Sue says, good tip, I never knew about a stop stitch. There we go. So yeah, I did this with the bugle beads. I think I'll do this one with the hexes because I think they're rather marvelous as well. So I'm going to thread my needle again when I get my thread off the floor. Fortunately, it didn't bounce too far. Just cut my seams. Do you have the mat? Do you have, if you do the mat and layer, it will save putting the second layer in and save the material. If you do the mat and layer, the top, it could save putting the second. Yes, it could, because the lining, I see what you mean there, Angela, because the lining goes in afterwards to hide all your stitches. But if you have done a mat and layering, obviously all your stitches will be hidden on the first layer, and you'll just have however you've chosen to stitch it down, which if you're using a darker color, you know, you probably won't see those stitches at all. So that's a good way of saving the material and making it go, because you don't need to line it, it's just it looks nicer. But if you're mat and layering, then yes, you could actually do it that way. Right, so let's do, I'm just going to thread my needle again. I have to remember now I've got my new specs that I don't look over them, I do it the proper way. So all right, so I'm just going to make a knot in the bottom, and again I'm not caring about the knots because it doesn't matter, because they're going to be hidden. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what we call a seed stitch. Basically what you do is you pick up a bead, you lay it where you want to, and you stitch it down again, and you do them randomly. So there we go, that's a little stitch. But one way you can do this to speed up your work is you put 2 on at a time. All right, and so if I'm going this way, right, I've got my seed beads there, I'm going to come down next to where I came out. All right, doesn't need to be accurate, but what I'm going to do is that I'm going to come up at a sort of triangle away from where I've come up and gone down, and I'm just going to grab the end. If I pull that gently, we've got that little bit of thread that's gone through those last 2. So grab that and go back down in the same place again. And I've actually just couched down 2 beads at the same time. So, and they still look random. So let's do that again. So I'll come over here, pick up 2, because we might as well do. Come back down, side, sort of off, it kind of in line with it, but far enough away that your beads will both lie flat. And if I just keep that out the way, the last part of the stitch we actually bring up about there. All right, so once that's all gone through and those 2 lie flat, it is easier if you get them lying first and then do that other stitch, but I want you to see how that works. There we go. And we go back down and we've catched another 2. So if you look closely at this one, you can see I've pretty much done them in pairs, and then every now and again I've just done one to fill a gap, or perhaps around the outside. So looking at that's one on its own, running side to side, but these are all done in pairs, but you're mixing them up. Okay, and you can come all the way up to the edge if you want to, or I've actually done a blanket stitch around there, which I'm going to show you tomorrow. That's how I have finished off these edges, with a blanket stitch, and with a blanket stitch and a pearl. I think that makes it for me. That pearl edging, I absolutely adore it. It just finishes it off nicely. But this is a great way of filling some space. So I've got a bit of a gap in between those 2. So I think, well, I'll come back in and I'll just pop one of the hex beads in between. Pull that. And then that will lay flat. Famous last words. There we go. In the gap. And I filled the gap in. So it's a good plan to work from the outside, from the inside towards the edges. So the next one, I'm going to go that way. So what I don't want to do is have them too regimented. I don't want it to look like I've been lazy. So I'm just going to grab that thread under there between those 2, pull it over slightly. So I don't want parallel lines, but I just want to fill that in. Now, because I've stitched this one down and I've nearly stitched this one down, I can actually take the couching out. That's the knot that I did for my couching. And I can cut that off. Oh, trying to do it left-handed. Right, cut that off. So with this one, it didn't really matter because I'm not going to stitch over it. But let's just take that out. And then this one I do want to take out because that's held in enough now. If I pull this one over here and I leave it quite long, that's still going to hold that one in place until I'm ready. Okay, so I'm just going to keep adding to this center until the center is filled with these little hexes. And then I'm going to carry on and do the rest of the petals. So let's just backtrack because obviously there is part 2 tomorrow. If I want to add leaves, I need to just make sure that I position it. Ideas are coming in thick and fast. If you wanted to do a second layer, you could separate the 2 sides and make a pocket in each side. You certainly could, Angela, to keep all your extra bits and pieces. You could make this a project bag. In fact, this is I've made something similar to this from denim. And what I actually did inside, I made it first for my friend who drinks a lot of tea and for her work used to have to spend a lot of time in hotels. So I made pockets for tea bags for her. And the applique on the front was a teacup. So I just drew a teacup and then played with those sides to it. So it's very, very simple, because felt is great to work with because it doesn't fray. You can cut it, you can shape it. You can see here I actually curved the corners. I thought that looked quite nice. And we can play with that and get that sort of done like that. We also, I don't know what colour I might use this colour for the leaves, because it is, you know, it's an imaginary flower, so I can do as little or as much as I want. Obviously with this square version I just use the flower, but you can use all sorts of designs. You could do heart shapes, you could do somebody's name. Just remember, when you're drawing out your shape, you're drawing onto the back of it, so that your text needs to be backwards. Perhaps you could print something out from your computer to use as a font, a nice big font, and then use that. Just remember that when you cut it out and you use that template, you've got to turn it over, because you're drawing on the back of your letter and then it's going to go that way. So that's always something that you need to be aware of when you're doing applique. But yeah, there's so many things that you can do, and as I said, we are going to be doing more than just this one project. So let me just have a quick look and see if there's any questions that I missed. Carol. Diane says, did you show the seed beads for all of the kits? Yes, I did. But if we just go, hold on, if we just go back to the computer, here we go. So these are the kits that you've got. You've got your blue, sorry, you've got your turquoise, you've got the blue, we've got the purple, and then we've got the tan. And if you go into each one of those, you'll see the content. So this is what you're getting, and you're getting the size 8 Tohos, you're getting the Toho hexagons, which are these shape, you're getting a 3mm bugle, you're getting a string of glass pearl rounds, you're getting a string of rondelles, and you're actually getting 2 needles, and you're getting 3 sets of the felt, basically. And actually look at them here, because I think the colors look truer on here than they do actually on my screen, because when we look at this one, we can see that is the wine, and these two, that's the lilac, sorry, the lavender, I think they've called it, and purple. So those colors are much truer than comes back against my green mat. So those are all the bits that you've got in there. So I hope that answers that. Now, the next question, Lucy says, I've loved this today. Thank you so much for spending time with us and showing us all. My pleasure. As I said, I'll be back tomorrow, and I will have finished the front, because I'm going to sit there and do that now, and then I will be showing you how to construct it and how to put it together. So we'll be putting the pearls around the outside, and having a little bit of a play finishing it off, okay, because and you can decide how many leaves you want to put inside. It's really up to you. Now, what I do need, as I said, this kit is going to make more than one of these, but we thought it might be quite nice to do a series of these from this kit. So what kind of project would you like to see made with this felt kit with the remnants? So we've done a needle case. What next? So would you like to see something to hold your scissors in, a little embroidered and beaded scissor fob? Would you like to see a pin cushion? Would you like to see something to hold your glasses in? Mobile phone case? It will be made with just what's in this kit, so we won't be putting any buttons or clasps or anything like that on it. Ruth, it's much easier than the leather booklet I made. Well, yeah, leather's tough to work with. So yeah, put here matching pin cushion embroidery scissor pocket, says Jackie. That might be quite nice. Yes. So I'm going to try and do a few of these. And Charlotte says as above. So glasses case, Amelia says glasses case. So I will I also made a bird with felt when I was at school. Same principle as the needle case, but added stuffing. Nice, nice, Angela. I really enjoyed that. Thank you. Never thought of felting and beading together. Well, hopefully you know, we all bring different things to the table when it comes to these go lives. And, you know, I absolutely love working with felt, and I love applique. And I can tell you a little secret. My next book is about applique. So something I absolutely love. So I adored the opportunity. And one of them is it's a felted applique book cover. But it hasn't got any beads on it. I don't think it's got any beads on it. Too late now. But anyway, so we've got scissor case or pin cushion. But yeah, applique can be so much fun. So I think basically looking at this pin cushion and scissor case to match is kind of winning. Kind of winning that. Jackie says, oh yes please, when's it due? Well, it was due this summer, but we should have finished photography in December, and we still haven't been able to get together to do that. So it's not coming out this summer. I have no idea when it's coming out. But yeah, it's called Sarah Plain's Applique School. But no, it's not all felt, Jackie. There is just some felt in it, and there's some denim and other bits and pieces. But I digress. This is not the place for me to to discuss my book. But just to let you know that I do love applique, and it's a great project to do, another technique. So Robin says, would love to see how to incorporate slow stitching techniques. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. You know, this is something you sit down and you do slowly, and you make something beautiful. So I will have a look at the diary and put my thinking cap on, and there will be some more projects to make from these kits. So grab yourself a kit. It means next time you'll actually be ready when we're making a start, and you could perhaps sew along and bead embroider along with me. Lucy says, you're amazing, Sarah. Thank you very much. I'm also quite busy. People say, how do you get everything done? And I say, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. And it just means we just keep on going. You ask Kitty. She knows what it's like to be busy. But the thing is, I think creativity is one of those things. I read a quote once that says, creativity, the more you have, or the more you use it, the more you get. And that is totally true. So when you start playing with these designs, when you start looking around you, get the kids' colouring books out and have a look in there, you'll find designs in there that would translate little birds, flowers, little scenes. Maybe, when it comes to Christmas, you do a little Christmas tree and things like that. It's amazing what you can do with this technique. All right. And there are no rules. All we're doing is we're cutting felt shapes out, a bit like fuzzy felt, and then we are sewing them down with beads. So I'll be back tomorrow to show you a little bit more with those, with making this booklet and putting it all together to keep your pins nice and tidy. Look at that. This has now gone into my sewing case because it's just going to be so useful to keep all my needles in, because I can never find the right needle when I need it. Diane says, what about a ring case? Could do. Yeah, something to keep your rings in. Sue says, I've been multitasking, watching you and planning guide Zoom meeting for tonight. Well, that's definitely multitasking. I wasn't a guide. It was a brownie, but I wasn't a guide. But I'm glad you've enjoyed it and had a chance to have a look at something new. And join me again tomorrow when we're going to do the next step. So I'm going to switch everything off now and carry on and finish the front of my booklet, so that I'm good and ready to go when you guys come and join me tomorrow at 10 a.m. So enjoy the rest of your day. Stay warm, stay safe, and keep beading. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.